All right, everybody. So I believe that we are live on all our channels. Go ahead. Make sure that we are live right now. This is the State of America, episode 10. We are live. Okay, so this is the State of America, episode 10, and we do have a few less speakers tonight. It's going to be more of an intimate night, so get warm and enjoy the show. So tonight we're going to be talking about cancel culture in the movement and deplatforming by big tech, because this is something that we face as independent journalists on a regular basis. Um, the fact is, if people don't like your content, they will not allow your content in the groups. If people don't like your content, they will tell other people not to share your content or interact with your content. If if people don't like your content, they will mass report your content to have you deplatformed. We have been deplatformed on the Family Soup TV for a little over a month now. We lost our Facebook page at 13,000 followers at 100 followers. So yeah,
Wow.
it's been rough lately. Um, but yeah, do you guys have any thoughts on cancel culture or big tech censorship? And this is James
Oh
Dora. We've
yeah,
introduced them before. Do you guys want to introduce yourselves again? You can. We only have two speakers.
DJ Nymphodora with Augur Media, press support and production assistance.
Uh,
Welcome.
James, activist, human rights, social justice, environmental awareness, political
resident chef.
reform, I guess, and CIA, right? It's not Central Intelligence Agency. It's Culinary Institute of America.
Right.
Would you like a tomato?
Yeah, definitely. Our viewers love it.
Yeah, now it's actually a very, very important thing to understand what this even means to people, and we've seen examples of this in the past. One of my personal favorites to show is Lee Camp. He started off as a stand-up comedian who got into political activism, and started doing a thing where he would cover shit that should be in the news but isn't. After being deplatformed multiple times on multiple different fronts, he was approached by the people at RT who offered him a show that was all good up until this whole shenanigans with Ukraine started, at which point RT was put out of business altogether here in the States, and he lost his show. Now he's back to scratch and bare bones of just him and like one or two other people doing exactly out the same way we're doing, broadcasting from his couch. You know,
Yeah.
like he's got one or two people actively supporting him directly, one of which is his co-host that I think might be his girlfriend. We're not sure. We're hoping. They're a cute couple. Um, but like it's just them, and he's trying to manage multiple websites, and he's not the guy that put them together. He's not the guy that really understands what he's doing with that stuff. He's just figuring out as he goes and doing a pretty good job, if I must say. But like he got completely shut down, and he's had to the point where he had to go through Rumble, which if anybody knows the history of them, they started out as an alt-right platform, but now they're just kind of a platform because, well, they don't censor the left either. They just let everybody do their thing, which is kind of actually cool. You know, they could go and just silence the left because it's their platform, but they truly do believe in that quality of non-censorship. So they let him do his thing, and Russell Brand's on there, and a few others are on there. But like it's become the platform where they're able to actually say something without being censored constantly. And like he can't even do a full show on Facebook. He has to do half a show because the other half of the show will get him banned.
Right. Yeah.
He does the whole show on Rumble, or you could watch half the show on Facebook. And like back when he got put on RT, his show was called Redacted Tonight, and his tagline was "Welcome to Redacted Tonight, the comedy show where Americans in America covering American news are called foreign agents. Now let's take the news from behind. And I think that is probably one of the most beautiful philosophies that journalists right now can take. We got to cover what they won't.
Yeah.
And we got to make sure to keep ourselves going. Don't let them silence us.
Absolutely. Yeah, so another part of that is like once again we can talk about big tech and like how they shadow ban people. It's a very real thing. It's not just Facebook, but it's also Twitter will do this, YouTube will do this. Basically, what will happen is your page will become restricted, and that people will search for your page and it won't come up in the search results. Only page followers can see your posts, and only and people who are sent the direct link to your posts or your videos. So you'll go from like getting this happened to a family too, because I remember like our reach was like 130,000 people a month, and then it got lowered to like 30,000 after we had some violations on our page, and then it got reduced to like 15,000. So that's basically an example of shadow banning for you. Posts were going viral before because they were coming up in search. Like when a trending topic came about, it was coming up in search, and then that just disappeared suddenly. Like people weren't able to do that anymore. It's definitely a problem. Shadow banning is a serious problem.
Dude, great story for you. After the government said Zuck couldn't fuck with the code anymore,
Yeah.
Zuckerberg got zucked. Like, he straight got zucked, and he's like, what the hell? And we had to explain through his newly created Twitter account
Yeah.
that that's exactly what we've been bitching at you about for the last several
Right.
years.
Yeah, how's it feel to be censored?
Shit. There we go. We tried to explain to him that's basically what's been happening to all of us for the last several years that we've been telling you about. And you finally understand it. The algorithm is set up in such a way that it just hits everybody. I've literally had violations where when I went to look at what the hell they were saying was a violation, there was literally nothing there. There is no post. It's just a violation. What did I do?
That's
I
because they
called tech
deleted it.
support. What did I do? And they said, we don't know.
Right.
They didn't even delete it. They didn't know.
Yeah. I could talk more in person as far as.
Sorry.
Like yeah, that it's just really sad because a lot of people are putting money into the Facebook platform. Like a lot of small businesses and a lot of independent journalists are actually like putting money into advertisements in order to reach a larger audience because they are being shadow banned. So basically, what happens? Large tech companies they shadow ban people, and then you're having to pay for advertisements just to have the same reach you had before you were shadow banned.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's just a way to like extort money out of people. Like, it's sad that these tech companies are doing it.
Oh, but that's just it, is it's by design.
Right.
You got to keep in mind these tech companies, like, they're not just tech companies. They're owned by people, and those people have sway from other people, and so on and so forth.
Right. So my
And the thing
question
is
would be,
these same networks control even the memes that we see. Like, where do we find half of the shit that we find? In Facebook.
Yeah, your shopping results are based on your search. Like,
well,
Like,
we
there's
are
3
familiar
different
with.
places you got to shut it down in order for them to not track you for advertising. 3 different places in just Google alone.
I really don't care. Like, I like the fact they give me suggested things that I'm trying to purchase. I mean, on the one hand, I don't really like the fact that somebody's watching my every move. On the other
That's
hand,
more what we're getting at.
yeah.
Censorship is just one element thereof.
Welcome to the modern age. We didn't have this 30 years ago when I was a kid.
Mic
We did, just
check.
in a different way.
Sorry. Keep
They
going.
did have a little bit of it, but
I can hear myself fine. Somebody said I sounded like I was water. But yeah. All right. So we can talk. Let's talk more about cancel culture in the movement. Like we want to talk about the protest movement, cancel culture in the protest movement. I think that's something that touched up on more. But
Sure.
I've seen several times where I'll have somebody just message me or mess so there's an independent journalist out of Wisconsin. I shared one of his posts or one of his live streams, and then I had people messaging my page and they're like, "Hey, that person's bad. Don't share their streams." And I'm like, "Okay, like what people do in their personal life has nothing to do with the content they're producing. I really don't care."
Right.
I'm about the content. This is a media page. Like, please calm down with that. That happens a lot. Like people will go out of their way to like control um basically it seems like a popularity contest, and it seems like
The
everybody
cancel
wants to.
culture in general is kind of stupid
Yeah,
because yeah, sure, somebody might have some bad shit that they've done or said,
right.
but before you knew that side of them, did you watch their shit? Did you listen to it? Did you think it was good? How does that change?
Right.
If you liked it before, you still like it. You just don't have to like the person that made it. One of my
Yeah.
friends who's a DJ made a perfect example. He asked, should I spin some of Kanye's shit in my set or should I not? Considering
Oh
everything. And I
God.
said to him, it's easy. Spin what you want to spin. Keep some backups on hand, just like you do for any other song, to in case your set isn't quite hitting the crowd right. You can tailor it as you go. You're a good enough DJ. If you want to spin yay, spin yay. Let him do his fucking. Let the fucking crowd tell you what they want to hear. If
That's a
who knows? If your beats are fat enough, they may not give a shit.
well. Yeah, he's a whole other subject too that we could get into, like anti-Semitic.
But that's the whole
But
point, though.
yeah,
Is cancel culture in general is the problem, regardless of whether it's through the press, amongst the press and listeners and such. It doesn't matter what you do in your personal home life, as long as what you're covering is the objective truth as the eye of the camera sees it.
right. Yeah. So I've personally had people go out of their way to try to either mass report my work or censor it in multiple ways. It's just really sad because it doesn't affect me as much as it affects the content. Like it takes away from everybody. It takes away from the
Yeah.
protesters I'm filming. It takes away from the people I'm interviewing. It takes away from
Yep.
like the families that are impacted that I'm interviewing and their story not being able to get out because they're not wanting it in certain groups or they're telling people not to share the content. And that's just like it just really seems like narcissistic behavior to me, but like controlling narcissistic behavior.
You got
It's
a
really a
combination of
detriment
it.
to the people that are on this channel. Honest, let's be fair. Yeah,
Like as we saw back during the Occupy days,
yeah,
some people were there because they were just assholes who were stirring shit. Some people were put there for the sole purpose of doing exactly that on purpose.
Some of
right,
them are random passerby.
Yeah.
yeah,
Sometimes it's just what it is. Sometimes it's a conspiracy, and sometimes it's just an asshole. You know? But
Trust
it
me, they're
happens.
everywhere.
And you
yeah.
got to watch out for it either way. You know, it matters not which brand you're dealing with. It's you're dealing with them. The
Yeah, people.
tactics ultimately are the same. It ends up being the same story, and in the end, it's one group is getting silenced by others
I
because they don't like the narrative that's being spun.
I can guarantee that if I try to like even share this stream into like any community based like a cop watching crime watch group, it would automatically be declined because of the content. Like I can
Yeah.
almost guarantee it. Like it's that's just how it is. There's not a lot of
It's
people out
always
there
worth
that
a
are about
shot.
First Amendment rights and being open to those First Amendment rights.
And I think that's an argument that could be shared by both the left and the right and everybody in between is something that happens to everybody, regardless of what your political view stance is.
Yeah.
As soon as you start saying shit that's upsetting the apple cart for those above, you will start getting shut down.
Right.
Like even some of the more wingnutty ones out there that have those very popular shows about conspiracies, sometimes they hit the nail on the head. And that worries people because, yeah, it's a bunch of wingnut fanatics listening, but at the same time, wingnut fanatics are kind of the dangerous ones.
Right.
The last
They're
thing you want is
berserkers.
for them to catch the scent of something real.
Right.
So what do? You sue the man for something that's obviously BS and then fucking go after him for fucking more money than all the billionaires put together. Did you see the astronomical, like, $213 trillion suit against? I mean, everybody knows who the fuck I'm talking about. You know, Mr. Bohemian Grove himself.
Yeah.
They're turning the freaking frogs gay, guys.
Name the names. I'm not sure who you're talking about. There's a few.
You're talking about Alex Jones.
Yeah.
Oh, that guy.
I'm sorry. The man got drunk and admitted that he accepted money from the fucking government in order to seed fucking disinformation to throw off the fucking conspiracy theorists because they were getting too close to reality. But then he still slips nuggets of truth in there because deep down inside, fuck the government. Like, he was trashed and hit the live button.
I don't know, man. I still think my opinion is very different. I have zero respect for Alex Jones or anything that Alex Jones
I have
says.
zero respect for Alex Jones now, but back in the day when he was fucking really on about actual true shit before he took the money, like, I have respect for that man because he told the truth and he didn't give a fuck how hard they came after him.
Who?
When they realized Alex, like back in the early days, Bohemian Grove days, like Occupy days, the man was actually on point and speaking truth.
Oh, before he was talking about chemicals turning the frogs gay?
Before the gate. And
they still do that shit.
Hilarious part.
Yeah, but
what's hilarious
the problem
is that is a complete fucking propaganda piece, total bullshit. But there's a real thing somewhere down deep in the kernel of it, which was the gay bomb. There was literally a hand grenade created in the 90s for use in Desert Storm that was supposed to be a combat deterrent air gas grenade that was supposed to cause all of the very, very, macho men of the Islamic fucking soldiers to get weirded out because all of them were getting horny at each other and then they would like get freaked out and not want to fight. In the end, it backfired. It hit both groups, the U.S. and the Islamic soldiers, and everybody agreed, fuck it, and fought anyways. And that's where the whole fucking trope about getting a hard-on from combat comes from.
The problem with Alex Jones is, first of all, he's spewing Nazi propaganda in his interview with Kanye West. But not only that, he undermined or said Sandy Hill was a hoax, and therefore the families who are survivors of the Sandy Hill massacre are getting harassed. So I mean, yeah, I can't.
Yeah, he said
I have
some fucking
zero respect for
shit. But he also admitted openly during his drunken podcast that was unscheduled that it was all bullshit and the government's paying him to fucking spout it. Like, he flat out was like, yeah, these fucking idiots following me don't even realize that 99% of what I say is bullshit and the government pays me to do it.
Alex Jones is somebody I wouldn't watch, but I mean, maybe
watch his old stuff. You'd be surprised at the difference.
But I want to say how disastrous the Kanye interview was. So I heard it was. It was absolutely terrible.
One thing I learned from watching Alex Jones was that is the kind of journalist that I don't want to be.
Yeah. Right.
Somebody that's loved by one side and hated by the other side. and then those in the middle are going, "What in the fuck is he talking about?"
Right.
Right. I'm
You
sorry, the
know,
best Alex Jones I ever saw was when
and
Songify took a hold of that turn in the freaking frogs game
here
thing and made a technical.
I'll admit it. I'd been duped. I've been swayed. You know, like hell. I thought our country was a free nation. They told us that since I was in fucking grade school. Is it a free nation? Can you do what you want? Can you say what you want to say? Can you carry a gun down the street and not get harassed by the cops, whether you're white, black, brown, purple, yellow, green, Kermit the fucking frog? It's not a free nation. You know, it was a republic, and it's not a democracy. It's a fucking corporate dictatorship now.
It's nothing but
That's
capitalism
the
now.
thing. That's the thing about
It's
it
a
is
capitalist dictatorship. Okay, yeah. Whoever has the
democracy.
money,
That's a fucking
whoever
word
has
we
the
throw
gold
around a lot
makes the
without
rules.
understanding. It's a word we use a lot without understanding. And there was a point in time in this nation's history where the people who created it were warning against things like democracy because of what democracy inherently is. It is not a thing of the people. That's what a republic is. A
Mm-hmm.
constitutional republic is as close to what we
Yeah.
have now without exiting anarchy. It is technically the upper right corner of the anarchist philosophy and is a core element of socialism. Republics are built around that concept. What democracy is according to the great philosophers, when they discussed exactly which thing they thought would come to most likely to a dictatorship, they said democracy. When asked why in the conversation, it was put like this: democracy is said that it is a system of equality, when in reality, what happens is that in this equality, the disparaging difference in equality becomes apparent between those who rule and those who are poor. As this becomes the element, dissension amongst the poor against the rich will become evident, and those who are in charge will find themselves in a position where they must force the people into submission. Then, in great outcry from the people, a hero will rise up from the elite, declaring himself the enemy of his brethren and champion of the people. They will rally behind this person who promises to return things to the way they should be, while the citizens themselves help him to topple the government and its peoples. They will systematically remove all other opponents until only the champion remains, revealing himself to be the tyrant instead. Democracy is designed to divide. Washington himself said, "Do not fall for the trick of party politics, for it is designed inherently to divide the people and factionalize them until brother fights brother over whom they believe should lead."
It's always been so dividing. It's more dividing now than
In the first
Indeed,
few runs
I
in this
agree.
country, we didn't have parties. We just had people running, and you voted for who the fuck you wanted.
the Freemasons. Yeah.
You literally, Soup could go, "I'm going to run for president," and then Soup would go around the country and tell people, "Hey, I'm running for president, and here's why." That's the entire
We're
purpose
legalizing
of
weed, everyone.
the like
Can I be
the
part of your
entire
cabinet? I want to be
facade.
Secretary of State.
Yes.
The entire facade of campaigning now is a throwback to when they really did have to go from town to town, because otherwise you wouldn't know they existed to vote for them.
Right.
Politics is a
It would
dangerous
take a
game.
year to travel the country and introduce themselves to people.
Yeah, definitely. But
Like
yeah, so
that's what it was. There were no parties. There was, you ran by running around
I wanted
door
I
to
w-
door. If you
yeah,
had to.
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the political system in America is very corrupt and it's very divisive. Like I said, it's been more divisive now than ever. I wanted to make a note while it's still in my head about uh cancel culture, the fact that it takes somebody away from their sense of community, it's an alienation that happens when you alienate
Doing a
somebody.
show.
They don't have a sense of community. That's so
A little podcast.
damaging mentally. It can be so damaging mentally too.
I don't.
More than that, it makes them dangerous because when you take everything away from somebody, then they have nothing to lose.
Yeah.
And when somebody has nothing to lose, that is when they are truly the most dangerous you will ever see them.
True.
You want to eliminate a threat in your environment? Put them on a soapbox and let them talk. Because then what happens is everybody will hear what they have to say, and only fools will follow them.
Yeah.
Did you lose? Uh-oh.
What happened to Dave? Are we...
Dave never came.
No, missing Dave.
Oh well.
It's a very quiet chat tonight.
I figure that Dave would be great for this conversation, like with the colonialism and all that. I mean, it is one of those things that those that have had power and power for generations continues to happen. You know.
Yeah.
Sue, did you remember to share this on Augur so all 3 of my followers can get with us?
Yes. Wait, not the page.
Okay. Yes, the
I
page.
didn't share anything.
You're an admin there, Soup. So that you can share it.
Shout out to all 4 people watching right
now. Yeah. Guys, invite your friends.
Share this
all
right.
That's how we get the love out there. Just spam those heart reactions for no apparent reason. Laugh at us. Go on, do it. You know we're funny. Why did the chicken cross the road? Because I picked it up at the drive-thru.
See you later. He's all right.
Anyways. Yeah, the problem is, like, we need more alternative sources to put our media out here besides Facebook and YouTube with their restrictions. I feel like it seems like everything's a violation. But like the thing that got my YouTube account terminated was actually during October, which is Bullying Awareness Month. I posted a video of this schoolgirl who was beaten up by another schoolgirl to show people how bad bullying is in schools, and that's what got me banned. And I'm like, this is an educational, like, videos are allowed to be educational on this platform. And I've been back and forth in emails trying to argue with like workers, like no avail. But yeah, it's sad.
You gotta know your legalese, man.
Yeah.
That's weird. Is it a private account or is it like a media account?
Media. It was Family
TV
YouTube.
Okay. Well, I'd say they did you dirty on that one. Because I've got stuff on my YouTube channel that goes back to Occupy that's got violence in it, like the police beating somebody up.
Shit, man. At one point, we had fucking video of fucking Scott Olson taking a tear gas can to the dome that fucking embedded, what, like 3.5 inches in?
I don't know.
That is some
I don't think it went that far in, but it messed them up.
Like, it's some epically gruesome shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, speaking of, in Minneapolis right now, the 12 protesters won a lawsuit against the police for being brutalized by the Minneapolis Police Department. So they're each getting a settlement of $50,000 assaulted by the department.
Well, take a tear gas canister to your head, you get $2.3 million from Oakland PD.
Right?
You would?
Well, that's what Scott Olson got. He got a couple million out of it. He's a Iraq veteran, Afghanistan veteran.
I don't have the numbers on this, but there was also a girl who was blinded in one eye from being shot in the face with tear gas by the Minneapolis Police Department as well.
I got the same in Portland too.
I can see that happen. You know, that's the dangers of being on the front line. And, you know, I mean, we have the right to express ourselves and to peacefully protest. And they bring out the violence, and that has to remain true, that we are nonviolent as protesters, asking for a recourse of action. Yeah, I mean, it's a constitutional rights that are protected, but are they? And who protects them? The journalists are the number one that protect them, as far as it goes, not the police. The police are there for after a cause and effect of a crime, and they're not there to protect the citizens anymore, as they, people think that it's to serve and protect. Yeah, if you got money, if you at least don't look like a homeless person, or you're not, black, things like that,
Right.
because I've seen, for example, I will give myself as an example. I talk shit to the cops all the time when they're being a dick. Now, I address them cordially when, when I was panhandling or something like that. But when they started saying, well, you got to kick rocks, and I'd be like, I got a right to be here. Some of them would drive away. Some of them would tell me they'll be back. And if I'm still there, I'd get a citation. And some of them would get off their motorcycle or out of their car immediately and tell me they're going to put me in handcuffs for asking for help as a homeless veteran. And then they would spout off that they're a veteran too, and that I'm disrespecting the uniform, or, there's a variety of things that have happened in my personal circumstances. But, the police, we are here to protect each other like anarchists do. We take care of our own community, and it's not no rules, it's rules without rulers. And, there's certain ethics, morals, and values that anarchists just generally abide by. It's not piracy. Which, right. if we take pirates into concern for this, they were developed out of the poor and those that had been accused of crimes and tortured by the establishments of the past, and said, we are going to free our own people. And they would get them, and they would go out in mobs on ships or even in cities and take what they needed.
One of the first recorded instances of what we would now consider in today's day pirates was a single slave who managed to escape, stole a ship with a couple of other escaped slaves, and then proceeded to raid slaver ships, offering the people on the ship, you have two options. You can take this ship and sail home, or you can join us and we can make a fleet. And that was one of the first of the Brethren's Court. They founded the Brethren's Court of Piracy. The entire thing was built around the concept of liberation from chains and standing against the crown.
James,
that's what pirates are.
Are you good?
No, my camera's in my pocket. I'm smoking a bowl of weed.
That's funny.
I'm smoking pot. I can't hold my phone and a lighter and a bowl at the same time.
Canceling. Indoors drinking, you're smoking. What are we?
That's not even. That's not even alcohol. It's like Martinelli's.
As a protester in San Francisco, like, people would be smoking pot and drinking in droves in front of the Federal Reserve building.
A little bit.
And yeah, a little bit. And the thing is I was like, cops are right over there. And they're like, they won't do anything. I'll be like, why not? And they're like, because there's more of us than there are of them. That was the reason. And it's not that, if somebody was getting hyphy and out of control, they were probably either drunk and being, they got their drunk balls on, or they're on something else and they're on a go up or a come down. And, the cops really didn't give a fuck what we did, as long as we weren't causing troubles, we weren't breaking windows, as long as we weren't fighting. And sometimes I've even seen when we were assaulted as a protest, 30 dozen of us protesting the city of Berkeley, they had send-ins that came in and they pepper sprayed, they actually bear maced most of the squad. I fortunately escaped that, and many of the people were pretty badly injured.
But we didn't call 911. We didn't ask for assistance for medical services. We had a support group that brought us milk, and it took them 45 minutes to get there. A couple of people got it sprayed directly in their eyes, and that's anarchy right there. We take care of ourselves, and even though we had members that were suffering for 45 minutes, we handled it on our own. And the police, after the incident, or just as the incident was happening, they saw it. And they drove by and they could see how riled up we were, and we were driving these other two people off. They did nothing. They drove by and kept going, circling the block and coming back just to see what were going to do. And we think it's been lightly proven. Like I don't have the evidence with me now, but that one of the assailants was actually a police officer. And the bear mace that came out in a rope. It sprayed like a stream of water for about 20 to 30 feet. Like you got hit by a blast. It wasn't like a mist. This was a rope of foam that came out of the end of this canister. It was I'd say military grade.
Yeah, I think we've all been tear gassed. We've all been
It got so bad in Portland that they literally invented a hot sauce because hot sauce didn't work anymore, and it's called Uncle Ted's Tear Gas Hot Sauce.
Yeah, I heard about that.
It's literally because at that point you've been hit so much with the gas that you can't even register like Frank's Red Hot or anything like that.
That's not funny, but
you're just permanently burnt out on them.
Yeah.
Eating ghost peppers like they're candy.
One thing I think we should have is part of the topics is what Dora and I were talking about earlier, which was like a fire sale. What we see going on in where was that, Dora? That they
I believe it's Charlotte, North Carolina.
You guys are both terrible camera people, by the way.
I'm walking around here trying to carry a cup of milk and work a fence at the same time.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I'm actually a cameraman. I'm not trying to work right now. I'm just participating.
Well, yeah. Hey guys, so I think I do want to end it short tonight. And come back next week more prepared. It's kind of a last moment thing, but yeah, I'm glad we got to do this. That's okay with everybody.
I think before we do cut, we should touch on Charlotte a little bit, though.
Talk about
that
what?
Is important. What happened in Charlotte? It's a little off subject, but it is very important news in my opinion.
Yeah, go ahead and talk about it.
I agree.
An interesting turn of events took place. A lot of people know about the state of emergency in North Carolina right now in Charlotte, where pretty much the whole county lost power for a while. Most people don't know why it lost power. The 3 relay stations in the area that supported the local grid were shot at, like with firearms.
And hit, apparently.
It had very much so hit, like Swiss cheesed up. This is very expensive and kind of hard to replace equipment. So they're going to be out of power for a little bit. But in coordination with this, looting was happening. And it's interesting that it was specifically like sporting goods stores and Walmart, the gun stores and shit like that. That's what was getting hit. At the same time, there's a drag show that suddenly gets canceled right at the time it's supposed to happen because of the power outage. And the fact that word was received that a bunch of armed assholes were on their way. And we're not talking the usual that we've been seeing recently, like the paintballs, we're talking actual live fire. Who did in fact show up to find that none of the queens were there because they all left.
Yeah, the situation.
Some people look at it and go, this is an isolated thing. I look at it and say, no, this is a continued escalation of various dry runs for certain things. The shit we see happening at the drag queen shows in Eugene, where they've got these guys with their paintball guns and their smoke grenades and all this shit pulling riot police tactics. on the people who are there to protect the drag shows. And then we have this other one happen. This is continued escalation in a very coordinated thing, and what we're seeing is dry runs. If this succeeds, then something bigger will work even better.
And if it doesn't, they'll change up the scenario and do something different.
And that's what we've seen. We've also seen very little police involvement in any of these incidences, at least uniformed.
Yeah, like same with Portland. They just let them fight it out. The same thing happened last year with Summer of Love.
But it's the woke community, as it's so being so called at this point.
Fucking
they come
Nazis.
hard.
Right. Fucking.
And that's pretty much what it breaks down to in the end. But what we're seeing is training exercises and dry runs on big tactics. It's interesting that they chose 3 substations to take down a grid. For those who know, it takes literally 3 substations to take down the entire national grid, if you know which 3 to hit.
Right. Anyways, yeah.
They know this. If I know this, they know this.
I like
It's a fire sale, and its entire thing is sending out a signal. Look what we can get away with. Right. It's time to do it. They already said over the last year that they're going to start hunting everybody, including quote unquote rhinos, Republicans in name only, as they call them. Like, they're going to go hunting these people and executing them. We're seeing the staging for exactly this right now, people.
And that might be why, just as a side note, there's some paranoia that we've noticed in recent conversations with certain parties, that some people are really concerned about things like that, and that they have good reason to be. But you got to know who your friends and who your enemies are, and that's why I always say that, like, as I work with people, I like to be able to meet them face to face, if not have this back and forth where I can talk to them and see them.
Right.
I can see body language, being empathic and feeling the vibe. Some people can see auras. I feel things, so I can tell when I'm feeling something strange from somebody. I watch body language, and I've been doing it for a long time. So that's my mutant. We're all mutants. We all have our own little mutations of some people are like, well, you're paranoid. I'm not paranoid. I'm highly observant. And I know when I need to exit stage left and move down the block, make a left, make a right, make a left, get down here, sit down for a little bit and hide out. Being a protest.
How is it that we managed to never get arrested when everybody got swept?
Well, sometimes you still got picked. It's timing, situation, position, and without having an overhead or a full comms network. Like, we're not working in a military battalion out here. Like, that's why I was saying, I've got materials. Some people are like, well, you've got a ham radio and that looks like you're a cop. No, man, I'm just well organized. I am ex-military, and I know what I'm doing, and I know, that sometimes walking around looking like a cop can actually be bad, and in a bad situation can become worse. So
that's why my phone that I got, I made sure that it's a device that has the capability that if I really want to, I can pull up ham network.
Right.
I've got the radio transceivers. I've got the infrared scanning capabilities.
I prefer to have a backup, because if my phone gets taken and I still have my backpack, I still have my radio, and I usually have 2. So there's ready go bags, and then there's other types of ready go bags. I'm
throwing it out there for those that may not be able to necessarily afford to get some of the better equipment like a ham radio, because them things ain't cheap.
But I believe
there are app options that don't require cell phone network.
8:04. What time did we start at? We're close to it.
Hey guys, so I just want to end this stream, and I like what you said earlier. You said fuck Nazis, so let's end it with fuck Nazis. Thank you guys for being here.
See you later, man.
Yep, for sure.
I'm talking to you.